All right, I'll do a little recognition here. Starting with Success Club. Okay, so these are the coaches that are at Success Club 6 so far this month. So we have Kelsey Connor, Melissa Weber, Michelle Humerick, Julia St. Pierre, Megan McKenzie, Chelsea Yoder, Paige Gutner, Kelsey Moore, Reagan Davis, Rachel Falda, and Ann Demzak. And then at Success Club 8, we have Christina Tropiano, Olivia Brackett, Sydney Thompson, Caitlin Teft, Danielle Ream, Kelly Marks. At Success Club 10, Megan Wortham, Ashley Feldyson. At 12, Cassie Schmelzinger. At 14, Kate Schultz. At 18, Bailey Glanzer. And at 24, Jennifer Oganowski has helped 12 people so far this month. And then top volume producers. So the coaches that created the most volume last week with over 400 volume points. We got Brooke Reed, Kim Gladstone, Lauren Letary, Megan Jones, Susie Bell, Francesca Calhoun, Tiffany Tupps, Amy Eckert, and Sydney Thompson. With over 500 volume points, we have Nikki Remy, Jennifer Oganowski, over 600, Chris Bachlet, Savannah Butler, Danielle Ream, and Carrie Steelman-Schmidt. Over 700, Ashley Feldyson, Kelsey Connor. Over 1,000, Bailey Glanzer, Kelly Marks, and Kate Schultz. All right. So that is the volume, the Success Club, and then the coaches that have enrolled multiple coaches this month so far. We have Teresa Perigo, Rachel Falda, Nicole Schaefer, Jennifer Smith, Haley Love, Haley Walker, Brittany Havens, Bethany Lafredo, Bailey Glanzer, Aubrey Campbell, Olivia Brackett, Michelle Humerick, and Cassie Schmelzinger. All right, I'm going to throw it over to Danielle for some announcements before we kick off with our guest speaker.
Hey guys, happy Tuesday. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen to give you the announcements for this week. Some things that we have so many things to look forward to. It's freaking crazy with this end of the year, how many things we have launching. The middle one we all know is the No Excuses November. Every single challenge pack that's priced $140 and up is an extra $20 off. You guys have to use this to your advantage. I mean, like, this is literally no excuses. Follow up with every single person that you have ever talked to about this journey and get them plugged in. Help them change their life just like your life was positively changed from this entire community and the resources that we have. And then Bar Blend is actually going to be coming out with the VIP launch December 3rd. That's when you as a coach can purchase the Bar Blend, and then it will be launched fully on January 13th. That's when you can start accessing the workouts. But it will actually go live December 3rd to get your package. And then the other thing that's also going live on December 3rd are the vegan beach bars. All right, so 2 things happening on December 3rd, which are really, really huge. For the vegan beach bars, I would suggest start showing up in your stories, asking people like who are vegan, or who maybe want more plant-based options, just saying who would be interested in trying out something that's coming out as like a trial, right? Like they try it out, see how they like it. If they don't like it, they can return it, right? But at least that gives you a testimony to how they are, because you're not able to physically try them yet. Like you know the other bars if you've been able to try them, so you can talk about it in your stories and kind of get an email list going so that when it does launch, you can send out to all those people that were interested. I use MailChimp for all of my newsletters, and so I'll be setting up a MailChimp kind of newsletter to send out with my specific link so that people can just click on that, check out, and get it as soon as launch happens. So those are the 3 announcements for today or for this week.
And what was the date again for the vegan bars?
December 3rd.
December 3rd.
Yeah, Bar Blend and the vegan beach bars are December 3rd. And start talking about that now, guys. Like before Thanksgiving happens, when everyone is like focused on traveling with their family, start taking advantage of all of that right now. Just talk about it. See who's interested. Get a list going.
Love it. Especially, I mean, there's so many people that love the plant-based Shakeology compared to just the regular Shakeology. So I know a lot of people are going to have the same preference for the bars as well. So it's nice that they finally have created the plant-based version of the bars. Cool. All right. So today's guest speaker, you might recognize her from the National Wake Up Call. I hope I'm saying her first name right. I think it's Moriah, but you can correct me on that. She's been a coach for not so long, which I really love that Beachbody's starting to bring in some newer coaches that are having success to get on and share their story. She's a 5-star diamond. She's hit Success Club for 43 consecutive months. She's a mom and also, I believe, still works part-time as a nurse. So I'm going to let you share a little bit about how you kind of got started, how you found Beachbody, where you were at before you found Beachbody, how that led into the coaching opportunity as well. So thanks for taking the time to hop on here.
Absolutely. So this is like a full circle moment for me. So I just need to soak it in for 1 second because I was doing my thing, being resourceful and going on to YouTube trainings and trying to figure out how to get my people results and how to make my challenge groups better and just how to grow my team, because I had a lot of challengers, but I wasn't converting anybody to coaches. So I stumbled upon one of your trainings actually about challenge groups, and like, I don't even remember like all the details. I just remember that it was like crazy accountability, like basically treating it like a test group. You had text threads with people, like you just leveled it up. And so this past spring, we ran a challenge group like that for 21 days. And it was like, that's what we advertised, like the most accountability you can ever imagine. And just all the resources, all the tools right at your fingertips. And that's when we went 5-star. So thank you for that.
That's awesome. Sounds like you gave your people an amazing experience.
It was awesome. The energy was crazy. Our team was like super excited, and it just, sealed the deal for us.
And it kind of created like the foundation of everybody's business, right? Like now you had all these challengers that had such an amazing experience. They wanted to give that experience to other people. They had that belief, and becoming a coach was just kind of a natural progression for them.
Yeah, absolutely. So
that's cool. I love those full circle moments are so.
I'm like, I'm in like the twilight zone over here. My coach was like, "That's so awesome that you're on his call. I know that you like looked up to him and listened to his trainings and stuff like that." So yeah, I'm just loving it. But cool. So I told my story a little bit on the National Wake Up Call. If you didn't listen to it, I got started almost 4 years ago as a coach. Had started a little bit before that with 21 Day Fix. I have been a nurse for 11 years, I think now, and was working night shift, had worked night shift the entire time, constantly picking up overtime. And I had 2 little boys, so they came in the progression of things. I'm married, and so I was just exhausted, busy all the time. If anybody on here works nights, you know that you lose like the day before you work because you're trying to nap and like get some rest in, which is nearly impossible with kids. And then on the other end of, I tried to work my 3 days in a row to like, I was a zombie those 3 days, but the last day I would sleep most of the day. And then try and salvage whatever time I had left with my family. So that's like 5 days out of the week gone. And then some. I was just exhausted all the time. My youngest son has some medical issues, and so we were doing a lot of treatments for that. Part of his issues are club feet, so we're doing a lot of casting and bracing and just doctor's appointments. We're super rural, so we were driving an hour and a half one way to his appointments, and they were pretty much weekly for quite a while. So I was just burnt out. Any nurses on here know healthcare is just, it's like sucks the life out of you. I love it. It's a passion of mine, but being on somebody else's schedule, I was working every other weekend, every other holiday, missing bedtimes, which was kind of my choice because if I worked day shift, I'd never see my family. So I would just do what I could to stay awake long enough to see them. And so one of my friends at work was like, hey, I need to lose weight. Will you do this program with me? Never heard of Beachbody. I probably had seen an infomercial at one point, but I had no clue what I was stepping into. And so we did 21 Day Fix separately, but messaged each other for accountability. Didn't know what a coach was. We just kind of stuck with each other, and I ended up losing 11 pounds and 14 inches. But I was drinking Shakeology at the same time, and I went from taking a 2-hour nap every afternoon with my youngest to, after 2 weeks, I was like, I didn't even need the naps anymore. And it was like, I didn't realize it. And then all of a sudden I was like, oh my God, I'm not even tired. What's happening? So that was pretty awesome. I then stopped, because why would you keep going with something that works so amazing for you? You get busy and then you stop, and you don't have that real accountability. She stopped too, and we were done. So picked it back up on my own. I had built up Shakeology because I was too lazy to cancel it. And so, again, was seeing great results. And I just started posting about it on Facebook because I needed some kind of accountability. And my now coach noticed that I was posting and was brave enough to reach out. She didn't assume that I was already a coach like so many of us do. And, oh, I'm not going to talk to her. She's, clearly already got it together, or she's already coaching because of how she's posting. So she messaged me and she's like, you know that you could get paid for helping other people feel like you do, right? And I was like, oh, really? Like, what? Again, no idea. I'm so naive. Didn't know what an MLM was. Didn't know what direct sales were. Like, I'm an introvert, super shy, don't make eye contact with people, just like always a follower. Tell me what to do and I will do it. And I didn't think twice. I was like, yeah, sure, I'll do that. To this day, I have no idea why. The only thing I can think of is that that's the path that God wanted me on at the time. And it's been proved to me time and time again over the last 4 years, which I'll get to. But so 2 years ago, I worked diligently and was able to just go per diem at work, which just means that I set my own schedule. So if they need some help, they can call me. If I'm available, I'll say yes. If I'm not, I say no. I might schedule myself for some shifts ahead of time, but I don't schedule them for holidays. I don't schedule them for weekends that I have plans with my family. I don't have to miss bedtime if I don't want to, although sometimes I'm like, yes, please, I'll work. But it's like that time freedom. And I know everybody talks about that, but for me, it's the memories with my family that I'm not missing out on anymore. I don't have to get texted pictures at work of my husband setting up the Christmas tree, and I can't help with that. And those were just the big things, the little things that are the big things. So here I am. We've had many, many busy seasons. So that's what I'm going to talk about today, talking about working through the busy seasons, and then leveraging launches. And those things, I think, kind of tie together really nicely, especially right now, because the holidays are very busy and everybody's got Christmas parties and work parties and shopping to do. And just, everybody's always like, I have so much to do. I just can't. I just don't have the time. And we have Bar Blend that's launching. So I'm going to talk a little bit about how those things tie together. And I'm going to share my screen.
What was that line that your coach said to you when you were still like a challenger?
What's that?
What was the line? The one where she said, like, you can
make money helping people feel as amazing as you do right now.
I love that line.
Yeah,
that's like a great one to tell our people that are in our challenge groups.
Yes. Well, and that's what people will say too whenever they get the money objection. I've heard a lot of people say, just conversations that they're having with people, they'll say, well, I can't afford that right now. And we're like, girl, you know that you can make money doing this, right? Doing what I do. You see what I do, posting online, helping other people, like just a kind of an easy way to break the ice that way.
Yeah. You're already kind of doing what I do. You're just not getting paid for it.
Exactly. So let's see. Okay. So I already kind of talked about this a little bit. I'm a nurse, but on my own time now. I'm a supervisor at a small hospital, about 45 minutes from us. So that's where I fit my PD in and my commute, listening to that on the way in. But if there's any nurses on here, sometimes you have shifts where you can't even go to the bathroom. So there was definitely times in my business where I felt like I didn't have a spare second. I was sleeping during the day when I was home, and then I was spending time with my family in those precious few moments between shifts and sleep. Those are my two boys, Bryce and Tanner, and my husband, Matt. We have a dog here, a little Margarita. And then that's my team down at the bottom, Project Perfectly Imperfect. That's just a small piece of it, but that was a special retreat day that we did. So, all right, so just some bullet points, and then I'll go into each of them. But during a busy season, you need to take care of you first. That's the priority, and then you're gonna let it spill. Whatever's left over is gonna spill out. Sometimes it's a lot that's gonna spill out, and sometimes it's just a little bit that's gonna spill out, but you come first. Finding ways to make it fun, because when it's busy and you're stressed and you feel like you're stretched thin, you gotta find a way to make it fun. My favorite one is scale back, but don't step back. And then put your blinders on, and then we'll talk about inaction and how it breeds fear. But first, I just read the Slate Edge, and it was actually, I'm kind of embarrassed. This is the first time that I had read it. But there's so many good nuggets in there. So if you haven't read it yet, please do. But it just talks about this little small decisions, little small daily behaviors that add up so much over time. And your curve is either going up slowly, so slowly that you don't even notice it at the time, or it's going down. There's no staying the same. There's no waiting period. And then it just like all of a sudden, you know, you're going down or you're going up. And I always want to be going up. So I love this quote: work expands to fill the time available for its completion. So if you give yourself an hour to do 10 invites, it's going to take you an hour to do 10 invites. So what I found in my busy seasons is like setting a timer and saying, okay, you have 10 minutes to do 10 invites. I get it done in 10 minutes. But I also know that the opposite is true, that it will take me an hour if I give myself an hour. I will scroll, or I will, tweak my invite and try to make it just so. And if you just don't even think about it, you set your timer and you're like, okay, I've got this plan and this is what I'm doing. So that is like one of my biggest tips, is scheduling out your time and then holding yourself accountable to that time. Setting timers. So the first question that you have to ask yourself is, what are we doing? What are we busy doing? Get your priorities lined up. Is what you're busy with lining up with those priorities? Is it your family? Is it your health? Is it your mental health? Is it your spiritual health? Like, what things are important to you, and are you busy doing those things? There's some times that we don't have control over our busy. Last winter, and I talked about this a little bit on the National Wake Up Call, I was traveling to South Carolina with my son, because thank God I was able to leave my job and find the best doctor that we could for him, who specializes in his condition. And again, we were doing weekly trips. So we were flying from Maine to South Carolina every week. I think we did it 8 or 10 times. He had surgery in there. He had casts. We were pushing him through the airport in a wheelchair, carrying him around with full leg casts on. He's like crawling around on the ground. Like, it was taking up all my time and energy. I didn't have control over the fact that he needed that stuff done. I wanted him to have the very best care. But I did have control over what I did while we were making those trips, and the behaviors and how I was able to implement the vital behaviors through all of that. So it's easy to say when there's something that you don't have control over like that, to just throw your hands up and just say, like, I can't, have to take a step back right now. I just can't do this one more thing. But I'm going to challenge you tonight to think about things just a little bit differently. I have a challenger in our group right now who has 10 children. And although she had control over that at one point, they're here now, and she has no control over how many children she has. And she still does her workout every single day. She's getting awesome results, and she's actively coaching. So she's finding time in her day. I think she homeschools them too, honestly. But we've got challengers who work a couple jobs, who are taking college classes, who are in the midst of moving, who are getting ready for a wedding. Like, there's so many things that are going to come into your life, and you're going to have to figure out how to work your way around, or you're never going to work and you're never going to get to your goals. So let's along here. So first is taking care of you. And I always relate back to the South Carolina trips for my busy season, because that's like the busiest time, the most stressful, exhausted time that I can think of. But one thing I wouldn't compromise on is my workouts and my nutrition, because that gets me excited. It gets me motivated. It takes care of my physical body. It takes care of my mental health. It helped me to be less stressed. And so I'd pick cardio workouts that I didn't need equipment for. I would take my loops and sliders and do cardio core from 80-day obsession. I would do Transform 20 without a step. I was doing workouts out they had a little playground at Ronald McDonald's house. My son would be swinging and I was doing T25. So got it done, and I documented that. I shared it on social media that it was crazy and that I was still getting it done because I needed it. Not because I want you to see that I'm doing it, because this is the only thing that's getting me through this day right now. And then gratitude, prayer, meditation, whatever like feeds your spiritual health. When you practice gratitude daily, it's something that I never did before. I was always a positive, kind of thankful person. But now that I practice it every single day, I just find myself, what you focus on grows, right? So I'm always looking for those positive things. And I try my best to share that with people. Like, here's this crappy thing that happened to me today, but I'm choosing to be grateful because, I have this and this and this that are blessings in my life. It's going to emit from.
Do you incorporate the gratitude into your challenge groups at all, or anything like mindset type stuff in your challenge groups?
Yeah. Well, actually, the group that I had run back in the spring, we had them choose a personal development book. We gave them a list. Awesome. But we all do like random, I'll be like, stop, drop, and gratitude. And they have to list like 3 things that they're grateful for.
That's awesome.
Sometimes we'll tie them with prize giveaways, just to get people to participate. But a lot of times everybody just posts something, or we'll post a picture of something that we're grateful for, or something like positive that your trainer said in your workout that day or something like that. So,
and I bet a lot of your challengers like say that's probably, for some of them, it's their favorite part of the entire challenge group is that the mindset stuff, the gratitude stuff that actually like makes them take a step back and look at some of the things that they overlooked, that they could be grateful for.
It's amazing to see their transformation, their mindset transformation as they go, because you've got like these real negative Nancy's who started off in there, and like it's contagious. It's like, I was just gonna say, it emits from your posts, it emits from your stories, and just like your mannerisms, and as you're talking to people and sharing what you're grateful for, you can't help but catch that.
That's awesome.
So yeah, I kind of picture gratitude as like, I can be a control freak. I'm working on that. But like gratitude to me is like standing here with your hands open, being ready to receive more blessings, versus me and my control freakness, clenching my fists and like trying to control everything. I feel like, like I said before, like God's plan for me, he has way bigger plans, or the universe or whatever has way bigger plans than you can even fathom for you. But if you're standing here like this trying to control everything, you're not open to receive those. You're never going to know like the magnitude of the incredibleness that is waiting for you.
Yeah.
So
they're in like survival mode or something, This I think helps them kind of get out of that survival mode and into more of like a creative mode and a receiving mode.
Right. And out of that lack mentality, because we get stuck in that a lot. Like there's not enough for everybody, so I have to hold on tight to everything, versus like if you just like focus on letting go and receiving it and serving others, like it's going to come to you.
Love it.
And then I did start writing out my goals and my affirmations every day. And one or a couple of my favorites that I say every single day, because I started off as such an introvert and it exerts a lot of energy for me to reach out to people, is fear and doubt have no place here. And because I know my vision for my family and for my business, and I know my intentions behind my reaching out and behind my posting and sharing my story. And there's no reason for me to apologize for that, be fearful of that, be doubtful of the incredibleness that's coming to me. And then my other one that I use, and it ties in with this chat, is that I use my time efficiently to move my business forward. because I went through a long period at the beginning of my business where my family and my work was so mushy that my kids were saying, Mommy, you're on your phone all the time. And I know Melanie Mitchell mentioned this too, like she'd have her phone at the table. And so I really had to, time and time again, like it wasn't just a one time, like, okay, I'm going to do this. It was like constant reminders from my husband and my kids, like, you know, this has to be family time. And not that they don't blur, not that they're not involved in my business and stuff, but like I really need to be intentional with my time. And if I screwed off for an hour and scrolled rather than did my invites, that was an hour less that I had to spend with my kids. And so I had to give myself those gut checks to keep myself on track through the busy times.
I like that. I like the word mushy, like where it kind of, you can get in a state where you're always kind of half working your business and you're never fully working it and you're never taking a break from it. It's kind of that, like you said, mushy. And so I really like how that ties into setting timers. And I love how you said, if you have an hour to do 10 invites, you will take the hour. But if you give yourself 10 minutes, you'll do it in 10 minutes. Mm-hmm. And that's something that was a very tough transition for me and still is when I left my full-time job and started doing this full-time. When I had a full-time job, I was so much more efficient with my time to get my Beachbody stuff done because I didn't have very much time. So I got things done in the allotted amount of time I had. And then, you know, you can start to get into that more of that mushy area where it kind of bleeds into your other things and you don't set the timers and you kind of just half in, half out. So especially, you know, this time of year, I think not letting that happen and having those set timers where you're going to be like, all right, you're on the clock. It makes me so much more focused than if I don't set those timers.
And when it gets mushy like that and you are like half-assing everything, you feel it. You're not getting the results in your business.
Right.
And your family is not as responsive to you because you're not fully present with them either at that time. So
yeah. And even like writing out a little like timeline of like what, even for my morning routine, like saying, this is the time I'm going to get up. This is the time I'm going to hit play on my personal development. This is the time I'm going to be done with personal development. This is the time I'm going to start my workout. When I have that written out the night before when I go to bed, when I wake up in the morning, I'm on track. Boom, boom, boom. I knock it all out and I feel just like I'm getting so much more done. Same with the business activities. If I write it out, have a time, I get on my phone, I set the timer. For me, I like to set little 50-minute increments where it's like, all right, I got 50 minutes to get this done. And if I get sidetracked, I come right back. I go, no, I got to get this done now because this timer is about to go off. So having that little like shot clock in my head makes me so much more focused.
Absolutely. Yes. So then the making it fun part for me, when I was so like depleted, when I was down South Carolina with Tanner, I had to find ways to make it fun, make it more enjoyable. Taking care of me was a big part of it. Doing my workout, that brings me joy. Working with people that I love. So my team, you know, teaming up, doing a 30-minute power hour, that held me accountable. And it was just more fun because somebody else was doing it. I wasn't fearful. I wasn't doubting. I was just doing the work. I had to revamp my invites, which I actually just recently redid again. I was feeling like they were cold and not personal and not me and not fun and not like the energy was lacking. And so I have kind of a basic one that I usually send out, but I've just had to go back through and be like, okay, how would I talk to my best friend right now? How would I share my excitement? I just started, well, it's been 4 weeks now, 6 weeks
okay,
ago.
I have, well, you can have water at home. I don't have any water.
Oh. I got it. I got it under control over here.
Okay. Vital behavior games. And by that, I just mean like setting timers for yourself. I actually have a friend, and I don't condone this because I'm a nurse, but she won't let herself go to the bathroom until she's finished like 15 invites or something like that. Don't do that. But just whatever you can do to make it fun and interesting for yourself. Energize. I will be in like the biggest funk. I'll message my husband when he's at work. I'm like, oh my God, nobody wants to sign up. Nobody wants to do this. Everyone's giving me excuses. I'll drink Energize and I'll literally message him back and he's like, who are you? Like, it makes my life so happy. I just want like an IV drip of it all the time. So drink that. And then music, whatever floats your boat is making it fun for you. And then this one I want to just spend like a hot second on. scaling back and not stepping back, because like when I first started, like I said, I had night shift, working overtime. I had 2 little boys. I had a house to take care of. My husband owns his own business. He's working long hours. I take care of all the bills. Then we've got a life, right? So friends, family, getting together with people. So that season, and then my season with Tanner, it's very tempting to just be like, too much, it's too much. I got to get rid of something. But if you just give yourself permission to do a little bit less instead of nothing, because so like last summer, and I mentioned this in the wake up call, we were almost 5-star. We were like 11 coaches away. And all of a sudden, within a month, 3 of the coaches took a step back. And it was just, just a quick step back because they needed it. But somebody had health issues. Well, I don't know why you would step back from this if you had health issues, but it happened. Somebody had anxiety. Again, I don't know why you would step back from this if you had anxiety, but this is what happened. And then they just fear, doubt, everything clouded in, and they were just done. So the team that we made 5-star with this year was almost entirely different than the team that we were close to it with last year. So give yourself permission to kind of scale it back. When I was first starting coaching, I would make 3 to 5 new friends a day. I would do 3 to 5 new connections every day. I would do 3 to 5 invites a day. I would post, and I would post to my challenge group, and that was it. So when seasons get crazy and you can't control the crazy, like with Tanner this past winter, that's what I go back to. I go back to my basics. I say, at least if I'm doing these things, then I still have momentum, and I am still making some forward motion.
What were those basics again?
Yeah. My coach had actually just sent me like a power hour sheet. And so I added 3 to 5 new friends, 3 to 5 new connections, 3 to 5 invites. I posted on social media probably twice a day. At that point, I only used Facebook, and I checked in with my challengers.
Yeah. I like that. Just like the 3 to 5 a day. And this thing right here, like give yourself permission to do less, but never nothing.
Yeah.
I think that just that 3 to 5 each day just kind of keeps you in like a little bit of a groove, and then just like a post on social media, that kind of keeps you in a bit of a groove, and it allows you to kind of stay on that escalator. It allows you for other people to kind of see that you're still showing up, whether it's your team or other people that are your future team, you're kind of just with the bare minimum, you're keeping that momentum and not going backwards down the escalator.
Right. The second I would stop, if I would go 3 days without, sending an invite or making a connection with somebody, it's that inaction breeds fear. I would just all of a sudden get so amped up about like invites were so scary all of a sudden.
Right.
And when I was in my group and sending 3 to 5 a day, it was like, that was just what I did. It was just part of my routine. But I always tell my coaches, like, if I see them like creeping towards the edge of the cliff and like, oh, I think I'm going to take a step back, like just at least show up, show your face on social media, post in your stories, talk about what's going on, your message, like just show up. If you're not sending out invites, then just let people know that you're still taking care of yourself and that you're still like present in this world.
And when you said you like revamped your invites, like is that something that you give advice to your new coaches on, or just old coaches where they're like, there's fear of inviting or they don't know what to say? Like how do you help them like revamp an invite? Like what's like a simple thing that people would say to not overthink the invite?
Yeah, we talk a lot about inviting like it's your best friend. Talk like using the same language like it's your best friend. I always use the example of like a concert that you are obsessed with is coming to your area, or a restaurant that you love, the food was incredible, and you want to invite people to come to that. Like, how excited are you about this concert? Like, who do you love? And I'll talk to them about specifically who they love, and I'd be like, okay, so invite me, I'm your best friend, like tell me how you're gonna invite me to this concert. Are you gonna be like, so I don't know if you're interested in this, but like just be you. So I've kind of had to go back to that. I'm really excited about this new program that I'm doing. So I don't know. That energy's coming out in my invites, and I'll just say, I don't know if you've seen my post. This program that I'm doing is insane. Like, I'm getting awesome results. Matt and I are doing it together. I would love to have you in this test group that I'm doing right now. Just like, it's not long. It's not, if somebody sees a message that's like this long come into their inbox, like they're either going to not read it or they're going to think that you're trying to sell them something. So shorter the better. Make it sound like it's your bestie.
And I think, and another great way to revamp your invites is to revamp your own routine, your own, like if you're not really loving the workouts you're doing, if you revamp your energy and your excitement towards the workouts you're doing, it's going to revamp your energy you have for your invites. Like if you start a new workout program that you really are enjoying, or you're reading a new book, or, starting a new meal plan, like it revamps the whole invite process for you just naturally because you have excitement.
Yeah, your energy changes and people feel that for sure.
We had one question here about how do you go about connections with people? So you say you do like 3 to 5 a day. Like what's your kind of strategy for that?
I'm like super into connections right now. I've gone through periods where I was just like, because I'm introverted, so I'm kind of like straight and to the point, and I'm not a small talker. So I'd rather just like get the invite out there, and then we'll small talk later if you want to jump in. If not, then I'll chat with you later when I invite you again. But no, I'm loving the connections lately. I will go to my recently added friends or my recently added followers to Instagram. And something that our team's been doing lately is just sending like a good vibes message. Like, hey, I know we haven't connected on here yet. I just wanted to send you some good vibes for this week. Are you doing anything fun for Thanksgiving or fall or whatever season you're in? Just either doing that, or I will go to their page, see something on there, like see a picture or something like that. If they just want a vacation, I'll ask them about that, or say that that's on my bucket list. Like, what would you recommend doing? Happy birthday messages, I like to do those. Just ask them if they're doing anything fun. Happy birthday. I wanted to like personally reach out. I didn't want to get lost on your wall. Are you guys doing anything fun? I hope you have an awesome, relaxing day, blah, blah, blah. I'm getting better at it. That's something I'm growing myself on, because the small talk is not my thing.
No, just like something simple as like happy birthday, on Facebook. Well, every day is a great way to start up a new conversation or rekindle an old conversation with some people they haven't had a chance to connect with in a while.
Yeah, and you can see the birthdays in advance too. So a lot of times we'll go like it'll say so-and-so's birthday in 2 days. So I might message them beforehand and say like, hey, I saw your birthday's coming up. Do you have anything fun planned? Or like, so I think it's a little more special, and it doesn't get lost in like on their actual birthday, get lost in all the messages and stuff. Yeah.
And then send in like a couple, maybe 3 to 5 like new friend requests, or following 3 to 5 new people on Instagram or something.
Yes.
Yeah. Love it.
All right. So something that I had to do in South Carolina was put my blinders on, because I had scaled myself back to kind of the minimum again. I was in a couple like push groups, push threads on Facebook, and it was not like therapeutic for me. It was making me like stop my actions. It was like, they were like, oh, I just, signed 10 people. Oh, I just did this, like they were doing all these things, and I wanted to be happy for them. I really did. But I felt like I was barely keeping my head above water. So for me to keep going and plugging along and doing what I could to survive, I had to like just kind of remove myself from that, and then plug myself in another direction. Like my direct upline, she just gets me. We're like the same person. So I would message her directly and be like, listen, this is how I'm feeling. And she'd be like, that's cool. That's okay. You're allowed to feel that way. How can I help? And we would like maybe do a little work session together or something, like I mentioned earlier. So just like allowing yourself to remove yourself from any negative pressure, but also staying accountable at the same time. So that kind of goes along with business accountability. She was my accountability partner for that, making sure that I did my vitals. And then I still did follow the Success Club tracker, but I just like scaled back on the numbers or the times. But I like to make sure that I'm doing something of everything, and not just like 30 invites and then no connections. Because if you're not, making new friends, then you've invited everybody and you feel like you have nobody left to invite, because you haven't been constantly adding to your circle.
Right.
And then I think probably one of the biggest things is focusing on your vision, keeping that in the front of your face all the time. Like, why are you going to show up when it's busy? Why are you going to show up when it's hard? what's keeping you around? What's keeping you working? I think Carl said it, and I mentioned it a little bit earlier, but like when people say that they want to take a step back, you're like, okay, so this is keeping you healthy. This is keeping you mentally sane. This is your like sense of community. Why would you want to step back from that? So that's like part of my vision and part of my reminder when I get crazy is that like, I need to lean into this. Like this is my sanity. And then if you've ever stopped, if you've ever gone a couple days without invites or a couple days without posting or whatever, you know how hard it is to start over again. Or if you've had a month where you were like really slack, and then at the beginning of the next month, you're like, why is nobody coming to me? Why is nobody interacting with my posts? Like, and then you start to have that doubt. It's starting over is so much harder than if you just do like that minimum every single day.
Right. Or if you like don't eat well for a few days, or like don't do your workouts for a few days, or, you know, you're hanging out with Chris Bachlet for a few days or something, and all of a sudden it's tough to get back on track.
Yeah, absolutely. You feel it.
Gotcha.
And then, yeah, when you feel helpless, help someone. That's what I always try to lean into, because it helps. It makes me feel better. And control the controllable. You can control your vitals. You can control, you know, the invites that you send out. You can control posting, sharing, being vulnerable and real. So then to just tie it in, we're getting ready to launch Bar Blend, and we have all these launches that have come out. We just launched 6 weeks of the work. So I just want to talk real quick about that. Okay. Okay. You do you, boo. Listen, Linda, your launch doesn't have to be the same program or the same date as Beachbody. So when my husband and I decided to start 6 weeks of the work, I was not done Morning Meltdown yet. So we decided to push it back like a week or two into October. We still had the same excitement around it. I think nobody knows when these launch dates are anyway. So we were just like, hey, it's launching on the 7th. And everyone was like, cool, we're starting on the 7th. And we just like planned accordingly to that. So don't feel like you need to do every program. Don't feel like you need to launch the one that they're launching. If that is nothing that you're interested in, if you're not a 6 weeks of the work and you're more Bar Blend, then, I mean, I'm both, but if you're one or the other, then you do you. You find the program that you love. We launched 21 Day Fix again back in the spring, because that was like an awesome foundational program that got people excited, and there was a little lull between programs. So we just created a launch around that. All right, so kind of the logistics of everything, the way that I do it is picking a date and then talking about that date constantly for like from 4 weeks out at least. But my followers know that I always have a plan. So they know right now, like I have 2 weeks left of my program, but they know that I'm moving on to something immediately after this. I'm not going to just like flounder around or yo-yo like I used to before I started doing programs, because I know that this makes me feel my best. And when I'm following a plan, everything in my life falls into place. So I will, you know, let everybody know that this is the date that I'm starting. I have to then draw my own line in the sand and say, I will follow this program to a T. I am going to get results. I am going to be my best challenger. And I try and share that with my team as well. Like, I'm like, okay, listen, I'm drawing my line in the sand. I'm following the nutrition plan. Yes, Matt and I are going to be still on the plan during Thanksgiving. We're still going to make it work. My birthday was during this launch. Like, there's been so many things. There's never going to be like 80 days, 100 days where there's nothing. So you just have to say, I'm going to do the best that I can. I might have a little bit of an indulgence here. I'm going to talk about that on social media, but they're still going to see me get results. So I start to trickle it in my posts and in my stories, like 3 to 4 weeks out. I posted the 6 weeks trailer a couple different times in my stories, and like just kind of told people how excited I was about it, and asked questions in polls like, you know, do you love functional fitness? Did you play basketball? Like just asking random questions like that. And then about 2 weeks out is when I do like blank lists on my stories. So I'll post like 10 spots open, or I'll post the name of my group at the top, and then I'll have the numbers 1 through 10. And then I will fill in the names as people get signed up. And so I just liked people to be able to see the names filling in and know that like these are the spots that are open. So there's that sense of urgency to get into the group before we close enrollment and before it fills up. And I'm inviting in my posts and in my stories with call to actions in those 2 weeks. 1 week out, I'm inviting like crazy. Every single person that I am inviting is getting a specific invite to this program. And I'm like exploding with excitement about me getting started with it and wanting them to jump in with me. And then daily story invites and updating that list as well. But like just talking about it and do the problem solution invite like Carl's been talking about. That's super helpful. I'm firm about my enrollment end date, which again creates that sense of urgency. And I'll do incentives as well and just let them know that like, you know, the next 3 people that jump in or the first 3 people that jump in before midnight get like a 3-pack of my Mombi juice, or they get, I'm going to share my peppermint mocha with the next 3 people that jump in. But that date's firm. And then if you get 10 people, if you have a list of 10 people and you get 10 people and you still have like 4 more days before the launch, awesome. Open up 5 more spots. Be like, I had so many people interested. I'm opening up just 5 more spots. Because they're going to get scoffed up too. Everybody's going to be excited about it. They're going to be like, oh my gosh, everybody's jumping in. So I'm going to jump in. And then launch day and launch week is all the FOMO. Like you're just sharing the excitement from your challenge group. I like to have them drop a GIF about how excited they are to start the program. And then on my stories, I'll like scroll through all the GIFs and be like, look how excited everybody is. And I'm going to hint about the next launch. Like if you're bummed that you didn't get in with this group, like we're going to be starting another one in a couple weeks. So like message me now because the spots are going to fill up just as quick as this one did. And then that first week, especially, I'm sharing the different parts of my journey, especially with this launch, like 6 weeks of the work. My husband and I started a new morning routine, and I'm not a morning person, night shift girl forever. We're getting up at 4:30 and it's literally changing my life. Like I feel so productive. I've got the kids' lunches made. I'm not a grouch in the morning when they get up. It's changing his days too. And so I'm just kind of sharing about not just the fitness aspect and the physical results, but everything that it's doing in the rest of my life, so that people that might have a crappy morning routine can relate to that, or people that, you know, are always yelling at their kids in the morning can relate to that. Yes. And then get people results. So that kind of goes along with what I was saying at the beginning of the 21-day group that I modeled after your training there. But accountability times 10, meal planning and prepping like a beast yourself. Me, where I don't work full time anymore, I had kind of gotten away from that because I can just make my meals as I see fit. But this program, I'll plan out all of my dinners. I will put them in a PDF and attach the recipes to them, and I'm emailing them out to people and putting them in my groups. So I'm giving them all the tools and the resources to make it easier so that they can get the best results. We do Zoom workouts in the morning to hold people more accountable, help them get it in. And we'll do giveaways for sharing their progress pictures. And then I'll ask those people that share their progress pictures if they will, if I can share those with other people, and just be a story collector. Like that lady that has 10 kids in our group, like I want to know her story so that I can share it and share how she's busy and she's still fitting her workouts in, and share the results that she's getting. Because people will see themselves in everybody else too, not just you. And so like when I buckle down and I follow a program, I get results. When I kind of sort of do a program and kind of sort of do the nutrition, I don't see results. I don't even want to take a end picture when I do that. So the first one is from 80-Day Obsession, and the second one is from Transform 20. And so when I share those, like, and I'm not just sharing the pictures, I'm sharing the stories behind them, it works. And these were the months that I helped the most people. I got the highest Success Club points because I got the best results, and I worked on myself first, and I was my best challenger. And so then I usually will do a second launch because there's usually a lot of excitement and people are seeing the results from week 1 and week 2. And so 2 or 3 weeks out, I will do another one, but I'll start talking about it immediately. And I'll be highlighting the results from my challengers and stuff like that. And I will just like wash, rinse, repeat the process of sprinkling it in, posting those blank lists, creating the sense of urgency, doing the incentives. And then just when these things collide, like right now in this moment, when we're getting ready to launch another program and you're thinking about all the craziness and having to bake all the pies for Thanksgiving, remember that this is your job. Like even if this is your side gig, it's still your job. You still have a vision. You still are here for a reason. So like I asked myself, how would I show up? Like if I was going to work a shift at the hospital, would I just not go if I was busy in the rest of my life? Or if I had a staff meeting, like could I just not show up? Or could I just not wake up and take care of my kids one day? No, like my nursing job was my livelihood. My children are my life. Like I'm going to show up tenfold for that stuff. So yeah, I'm going to show up for this. And then just focus on serving others, because we're so blessed that we have these tools. We have this total solution that people desperately need. Like they don't know what they're missing. So we know what to do. We know how to get back into, you know, healthy habits immediately after Thanksgiving, and we get to share that with people. So leverage your launches. That is all I have. That's a lot.
Love it. I love the draw the line in the sand that you talked about. Like, so every time you are going to run a challenge group, you kind of like draw this line in the sand of like, all right, this is the date this challenge group's going to start. I'm committing to this program. Do you have like any ongoing challenge groups? Or because I get questions sometimes from new coaches where they're like, all right, if I'm going to commit and do this program, what if I have someone that starts like a week after me, or they're not ready for 6 weeks of the work and they just need something to start? Do you like have challenge groups where there's different programs going on and people can join at different times, or what does that kind of look like for you?
Yeah, we've gone back and forth. I find when I have a challenge group that goes on for too long, people fizzle out, I fizzle out, I'm not adding as much value. And so even if we're doing different programs, I typically will start a new one every month. And if somebody comes in a week in, I'll still add them in. But I usually do like a unit section with like a prep week and stuff like that. So I'll direct them right to there. And then I'll also do like video messages to them, show them how to navigate VOD if they need it, or like just really try to make sure I get them set up right. But I want them to see the excitement. I want them to see the results from the other programs. I had a couple groups going at one time, a free group and like a actual challenge group. But I was finding I was just spreading myself too thin. And it was, you know, even in the not so busy times, I wasn't adding the value that I wanted to both of the groups. And so I've just combined them. I don't require people to buy things for my challenge groups, but I definitely let the results speak for themselves. And we just try to be very diligent about, you know, sharing how helpful Energize is for us, especially Recover for 6 weeks of the work. And, you know, and Shakeology, we've been sharing so many yummy recipes, and we got like so much FOMO for the peppermint mocha. And like, so that our volume was nuts for that, you know, but it was all because of that. People were going and they're still going back and ordering more boxes because we're still talking about how amazing it is and making like the treat balls and different things like that now. So
that's awesome. Cool. And so do you have like challenge groups where you're running it with other coaches too? For example, like if you have a new coach that's brand new, like what would you tell them as far as like starting their first challenge group? Do you have them start a challenge group like right away? That's the first thing you have them focus on? Do they like run it with you, or do you have them kind of start their own?
Yeah, that's something that has varied as well. And so a little while ago, we were all running it together. I think we were all kind of in a busy season together. And it was actually when we were going for 5-star. And so we would just create a Google Doc and we would all sign up for different days. And then we would pop in, like we'd obviously all post our workouts and stuff like that, but somebody would be in charge of each day. However, now, like just in the last month, I've kind of had this little explosion of all these people that are coming to me and they're like, I actually want to coach now. Like people have discount coaches and then just like random people and that have been watching me and stuff. And it's working out better for them to run their own challenge groups. It's empowering them. It's showing them that they can be a leader. It's helping them to fail forward. But I've just, especially one in particular, she's like, I am loving this. Like, it's making me feel so good. It's helping her with her results. Like, it's trickling into everything else. So I think it's different depending on which, the coach's personality maybe. But so I wouldn't say, no, you can't be in my group. There's one that has never run a challenge group. She's barely ever been in one before. So she wanted to be in with me, but a lot of them are choosing to do their own thing and just asking a few questions, and they might add me into the group so that they have some, feedback and somebody who participates. But I think a small challenge group when you're first starting is the best, because those people feel comfortable in there. There's only 4 of you versus you throwing them into my group that has 100 people in there. They're not going to dare to post. So I'm encouraging it right now for them to just have their small little group and do the 10x accountability and get them results and make it like a little family, a little community in there. And that's how they're going to find their teams and their builders, and they're going to come into their own as leaders.
I love it. When you were making that, like, your first push to hit like 5-star, and you had some momentum, and you had some people running with you, and then some coaches quit on you, which happens to all of us. What was the thing, like, did you go through a period where you like felt discouraged, or like what made you just kind of be like, all right, let's keep going? Because I think a lot of times we have this big vision, this big goal that we're shooting for. A lot of times it's, freedom, time freedom, financial freedom, but we get caught up in the small little goals of diamond, 2-star, 5-star. And then when we come short on some of those little smaller goals, we lose sight of that bigger picture. So what was it for you? Like, what was that journey when you had some coaches quit on you, but you just kept going?
Yeah, I went into a big funk, and I feel like I've heard so much lately that, like, at leadership, when I just went to leadership, the people that got you here to this leadership are not the people that are going to get you back here again next year. And I need to have that hammered into my head a million times, is that I need to be okay with being an army of one and marching ahead, even if people fall off, and be grateful for the season that I was able to serve them in. And so, yeah, I went through a funk, and I talked about it in the wake up call. Like, the line in the sand is like my thing. Like, I just have to keep drawing it. And I had to get to a point again where I'm like, okay, I can either sit here at whatever I was, 2-star, and just, never get to that kind of feeling comfortable with our financial situation. I was stressed at that point. I was per diem, but I was like, we're still stressing about bills. And I don't want to have to do that. And I don't want to have to go back to work.
Yeah. You're over like living with that stress of finances.
It's
You're like, all right, I'm drawing the line in the sand.
Right. It was to the point where I was like, okay, do I need to go back to work? And actually I told my husband, I said, I need to pick up more time at the hospital. And he's like, that's your safety net. He said, why did you immediately go to that and not think you need to work your coaching business more? Like, you need to plow forward with that. So he's been a good accountability partner for me in that. He was not supportive at first, but now he sees the potential of this thing. He sees the big picture now. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, this was amazing. We do a little fun thing at the end of the call where we do like a big boom on 3 for Team Boom to kind of thank you for taking the time to speak with us and share with us. So I'm going to let everybody unmute themselves real quick. I don't want to unmute anybody by mistake. Hear what's going on in their kitchen. But all right, let's give her a big boom on 3, guys. Let's show her how much we appreciate her taking the time to share with us. 1, 2, 3. Boom! Love it. Thank you so much. That was amazing.
Thanks, you guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
See you guys.